Stanford University.
Hello, this time in E145 Technology Entrepreneurship, we're going to talk about go-to-market strategies and marketing and demand creation. Last time I spoke about how your positioning and your value proposition statement are going to drive your go-to-market strategies. And so you really have to know your target customer well enough to know exactly why they would want to buy from you as opposed to a competitor. This is your value proposition, and understanding this target market, who they are in particular within the broader market, is your positioning statement. And so understanding these two things, who this group of customers are and why this group wants to purchase from you, is your positioning and your value proposition. And this is going to help you to understand how exactly to go about the sales and marketing process. And so the goal of marketing, the goal of demand creation, is then to feed these potential customers into your sales funnel. And the particular details of both the demand creation side and the sales funnel side are going to depend on your particular venture. So I'm going to describe them at a high-level theoretical view, but you need to then take that and bring it down to earth into the details of your particular industry and venture. So a lot of people these days talk about viral marketing, and I want to take a moment to point out that viral marketing really depends on having a product that does more than just satisfy customers, that really amazes them. You have to please your customers so much that they're willing to essentially do your marketing for you and talk to their friends and convince them, other customers, to actually purchase from you. So I want to take a moment and show you a video from Jack Dorsey of Square, and he was also the founder of Twitter, and so he has some great thoughts on viral marketing. So this is Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Square and also co-founder of Twitter.
One, the marketing strategy. We've not done any marketing whatsoever just yet. So a lot of it has been word of mouth, and what we discovered from that, and by the way, starting a startup after Twitter is so much easier than before, because you have an amazing way not just to promote the product, but you get instant feedback of what people are feeling about it and what they like and they dislike. And you can react very quickly to that. But what we're trying to do now is identify the key influencers in those merchant areas and make them distribution points. So for instance, there's 5,000 taco trucks in Los Angeles, and 300 people a day go to each one of those. And 10 to 30% of those people have their own small business. And this is not just small businesses, this is individual services like teaching piano or cutting someone's grass or a hairstylist. So does it make sense to ship 200 squares to these taco trucks, these 5,000 taco trucks, and allow them to give this away for free or with the purchase of a taco? We think it does. So, and then people discover, well, this is interesting, but how can I use it? And then suddenly I need to sell my MacBook Air on Craigslist, and I can take the person's credit card instead of having them bring $1,200 to me, or whatever I'm selling it for. So that's how we're thinking about it right now. A lot of the way I think about marketing is through the product itself. So I think the marketing function, the best aspect and the best it can do is surface the product as much as possible. And to do that, we're doing this taco truck thing, and we're also, purchasing Facebook ads and Google ads and doing the standard thing and looking into, print media and, the union of accountants, because they might be influencers and they're trade magazines. So it surfaces the product, and then the product takes over.
Getting people to buy your product starts with having a very clear vision for what the value proposition is, why in particular the customer buys from you. So if your customer is another business, then buying your product has to result in some particular increase in profits for them. Or if your customer is a consumer, then it has to result in that consumer saving money over what they would have done alternatively, or providing some other specific source of value to them that they couldn't have received in any other way. And so once you understand this, then that allows you to start running some what we call demand creation experiments. And so you want to think through, as Jack Dorsey pointed out, who are the influencers? Are there particular bloggers or other particular people or organizations who might influence your customer to buy? And then you can do what we call a bowling pin strategy. So you might want to think up several potential experiments that you could run. What if we get this blogger to talk about our product? Or what if we buy Google AdWords that say this? Or what if we put this particular ad in a magazine? And so ideally, you get one or a couple of initial customers to purchase your product. And these initial customers can then help you knock down the other bowling pins. They can then help you get the additional customers. So once you've got, let's say, Facebook as a customer, then it's much easier to go to Twitter and say, well, Facebook is using our product, shouldn't Twitter be using it also? Or, this famous celebrity is using our product. Don't you want to use it as well? And so using these influencers or using these initial early adopters as reference customers can make it much easier to make the subsequent sales. And so examples of potential demand creation experiments you might run are print advertising, email marketing, blogs, getting known in certain communities. So Jack Dorsey mentioned the accountants union, or search engine optimization, or search engine marketing. And so on the web, there are also particular demand creation experiments that you might run, and keep track of what works better and what works worse, and keep doing more of what works better. So demand creation on the web can include search engine marketing, search engine optimization, affiliates, bannering. Search engine marketing is buying ads here or here, whereas search engine optimization is free if you can get your search result to be higher in the Google search results. And so you want to try and keep track of your customer acquisition cost. So your customer acquisition cost is how much do you have to spend here in demand creation to get a paying customer here at the end of your sales funnel. And so if this customer acquisition cost is less than the value that you're getting over the whole lifetime of a customer, then you want to invest more money in demand creation. And so this is why it's important to find relatively inexpensive and highly effective means of generating demand creation. And so what about the sales funnel? How does this work? Once you've got these customers coming into your site or coming into your sales process, how do you get them from being potential customers to being paying customers? And so if this is an enterprise software product, then this might include starting out the customer as a qualified lead, having a first sales call or visit with them, a step of doing a demonstration, feasibility testing, and then a proposal and a purchase order. So whatever your venture is, you need to understand how this sales process works and what the steps are and who the key decision makers are in each step. And then you want to organize this ideally in a spreadsheet so that you know where your customers are in the process. On the web, this looks a bit different, but the same idea applies. So on the web, you have customers coming in. They might land on your website. Perhaps some smaller percentage of them actually log in or download the software. You get a first conversion. Maybe they start using the product or register for a subscription. And so perhaps you can get them to pay once, but can you get them to keep coming back and keep using the product for longer? And so this is the total lifetime of the customer. So even on the web, you can think about what steps does the potential customer have to go through to become a paying customer, and where do they appear to be getting hung up in the process. And there are a number of software products where you can keep track of exactly what it is that users are clicking on as they visit your website. And so pirate marketing techniques, you want to understand these 4 main aspects in terms of web marketing. So the first is acquisition. How do you get customers to actually come to your website? And so this could include social networks, this could include search engine marketing, search engine optimization, it could include affiliates who you partner with on the web. And so once you drive customers to the site, they then need to become activated. They need to start using the product or log in or sign up somehow. And so you need to keep track of that transition. And then there's also referral. So this could come from emails or social media, various forms of viral loops where customers can refer other customers, perhaps through affiliates. And so you want to keep track of metrics around what percentage of your customers are doing this and through what mechanisms. There's then the conversion from landing on your site to actually generating revenue. And so through what channels are you getting people who are more likely to convert to be actual paying customers? And then finally, there's retention. So what systems do you have and what metrics can you use to keep track of customers coming back to your site? So this might be emailing them with new features or giving them some kind of mobile alerts. So think through what are the mechanisms that you can retain a customer and keep them coming back again. And so what we've been talking about are the demand creation and the purchasing and distribution aspects of the business model. So up until now, we've been talking about the customers and potential users side of the business model, but we also need to form hypotheses and run experiments on how to do the demand creation and how the purchasing and distribution piece of the business model would work. And so particularly if you have a physical product, but even if you have a web product, you have to think about the distribution channel. Are you going to have to partner with certain other organizations in order to get your product to actually reach a paying customer? So if you had, let's say, a tablet, you might need to partner with retail stores or websites such as Amazon.com to get the product actually sold. And so in understanding these sales channels, you have to understand the sales process and the decision makers, and you have to run experiments on these different sales channels and tactics to see what works and what doesn't in your particular venture. And so in your projects, I want to see evidence that you've been converting these hypotheses about sales channels and marketing channels into some actual data points. And so if you have a hardware product, your particular distribution channels might be OEMs or system integrators. You might have to form a direct sales force or go through value-added resellers or through dealers. And so I want to see evidence that you've thought through this aspect of your business model and actually gone out and talked to some of these people to see if they would be willing to carry your product or what it would take for them to become a distribution channel for you. And so in choosing these distribution channels, you have to be careful in thinking about this aspect of your overall business model. So the customer wants to pay the same price no matter what channel they get your product through. But depending on your channel, you might wind up getting different amounts of revenue from that channel. So if you partner with a retailer, they're going to want a piece of this transaction, and so you're only going to get maybe 50% of the value. If they buy directly through your company, you might get the entire amount, but you might also need to hire a sales force. If you go through websites like Amazon.com, they're similarly going to take a piece of this revenue that's coming in from the consumer. And so you also need to think through, if you're building, say, a hardware product or even a website, what you're then paying out to the component suppliers who give you pieces of this product that go into the final product. And so in this example, you might think through in your demand creation experiments with blogs or forums or promotion via Salesforce, what the acquisition cost for the customer is. And so if it costs you $41 to get a new customer, and you're going to be taking in somewhere between $200 and $400 on that customer, then you should be investing more money in customer acquisition. So what do you need to keep track of in all this? What are the metrics? We've already been talking about some of them, but you need to keep track of the movement of your customers through your sales funnel. And so they go from being registered to being users to actually paying. Where are they getting hung up? So what's your customer acquisition cost? What are your marketing costs? What's the lifetime value of getting a customer? And what's the viral coefficient? What percentage of your customers refer other customers who wind up becoming paying customers? You also need to think through the customer lifecycle. You should know your customers well enough to know exactly how they're using your product, at what point and why they're registering, at what point they're uploading data to the site, what makes them share the site with others, what makes them actually order, how much time elapses. So you should really understand the customer life cycle and how they use your product or how they move through your website. That's it for this video on entrepreneurial sales and marketing.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.